everyone. How you doing? My lighting is off a little bit. Hold on. Yes. Oh, okay. Have to get that all the way together. Can y'all see me? How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Happy Tuesday, guys. How are you? Welcome to Conversations with Paris. Let me know y'all here. Come on, say hi. Come on, say hey. And it is terrific Tuesday. Y'all know how I feel. I feel amazing because it's the beginning of a new week. I just sometimes hate that I'm not on Mondays anymore because I really enjoy celebrating Mondays because I used to feel really down about Mondays. And my view of Mondays was severely challenged. And I appreciate that challenge because, again, it's like you don't realize that you're part of the problem, right? And so I'm grateful that I feel that way. Hey, Mom, how are you? I'm grateful that I've learned that if you walk into a Monday with the expectation it's going to be horrible, then it will be. But that's because you set the expectation. So I choose not to set that expectation. So anyway, trying to let a few of you guys come in before I start. Let me get started in a second. Anyway, like I said, today it's been a good day. It seemed like I got a little darker earlier, or maybe that's just me. It's just gonna be the fact that I'm just never gonna be used to the idea that it gets dark earlier. I just will never get used to it, but it is what it is. How was your weekend? Did you guys do something nice for yourself? Did you have a little bit of rest? I know some people work on the weekend, so I know it's not everyone, but still squeezing in some time to have some version of self-care is admirable, but really good, and I think necessary personally. So, all right, so I'm not going to really wait. I was trying to let a few people come in, but I'm going to go ahead. Oh, shoot, hold on, sorry. So I probably do need to share it one other place so I can just clear about it. I'm gonna let a few people come in, but I'm gonna go ahead. Sorry, guys. I still getting the hang of this. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be seamless one day. But until then, y'all rocking with me, so we good, right? All right. Okay, so let's go. So I said, what do I want to talk about today? I really do put thought into what the conversation is going to be. I try to have something that's a new thing, which is hard because, everything kind of runs into each other. And then I was reminded that it doesn't have to always be something new. Sometimes it just has to have a new angle to it, right? And sometimes it's been things that I think about or that come up and I'm like, well, I know I've talked about that already, but wow, this spin is a new spin. This is a new perspective. I think that's the thing that's so exciting about life and learning things and about having conversations, because every time you have a conversation, there's a opportunity to learn something new that you never learned, or there's an opportunity to expand your current knowledge. And I know a lot of people don't think it can be that simple, but I believe so. I believe that you truly can get a new perspective by talking to people that you haven't talked to before, or being in conversations and just having that expansion. Hey, Trey. So I really want to, with that being the case, I want to talk about what I brought up today. And that is, I love these little banners. Comparison. We're talking about comparison. I know you probably said, Paris, I think you talked about that before. And you're right. I have talked about versions of it. But I think that I was in a great conversation the other day, and I realized that there's so many layers to it that I believe that it's worth another talk. because I really don't believe we're as honest as we are. And I think that, so just so y'all know, I kind of am going to be trying to do themes for the month, right? And I think that I like series, right? So I might be going into like a series. So keep your eyes open for that. I didn't get a chance to do it for January per se, but if I have to give January a title for the series, it's going to be that January is about bringing in the new year um, as a new you. And I know that is a cliche, right? I know that's very cliche-ish, but I need you to hear that it's not about the cliche. Cliches are bad when you are just stating the same thing and it's not applicable to what's currently going on in your life. It's not, it's good if we can bring new language to it, right? So my goal is, I better write that down. Y'all be coming up with some good things. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm in a season of my life where every good thing that comes to my mind, I have to write it down when I say it. But I was about to hear it. It goes, I'm in a season of resurrection of cliches. I love that. That's good. I can't think of stuff like this. I don't even know where it come from. Resurrection of cliches. You know why? Because sometimes we hear the cliche, but we don't realize the information is relevant and necessary. And it's some things that we use and we say over and over as a cliche, but if you take the real principle behind it and apply it to your life, I promise you'll feel refreshed, you'll get some clarity, and you'll be like, wow, I never looked at it that way. I'm telling you, all you have to do is get somebody with a different perspective on it. So, okay, so we talked about comparison before. You're like, okay, Paris, what's the big deal, right? But when we're talking about and from the aspect of a new year, right? People have New Year's resolutions, and people have these thought processes about what we're gonna do, and especially coming out of 2020, a lot of people swear it was the worst year of their life, and I understand that. And then there's some people that are just like, I'm ready to be done with it. So many horrible things happened, and let's just go into a new part of it. And that's great. But I submit that if we continue to compare what last year will be to this one, not even just what last year to this one, but just even comparing what we believe, whatever journey we're trying to I don't know if I want to use the word of replicate, right? I think we have to be super careful, right? So what happens is, you guys have heard of vision parties, right? Vision board parties. And I actually think they're pretty cool. I do. I like them. I do. I like the vision board things. I did not used to like them. I'm going to go on record saying that I used to think vision boards were dumb. I'm just going to be honest here, right? I used to be like, oh, you're doing all that for you cutting stuff out of the paper like you're a little kid. No, we're not doing it. And I think part of that was that whole dreamer in me that was dead I told y'all about. So I honestly did not understand it, and therefore I criticized it. I remember about, I told you I'm going to tell on me. And I thought it was, silly. So I did not like vision boards. But now I do like them, right? I think that the premise behind vision boards are awesome. The idea that, you can have an idea what you want, what your dreams are, what you see for the vision for your life, for your household, for your career, and then put them on a board and shape it to be the way that you want it to be. I think all that's awesome. What I'm going to caution you here is about what can happen from a vision board that I've seen that I want to be very clear that we want to steer clear of. What I don't want you guys to do, and I've seen people do this, I'm not saying you've done it, but I'm saying I've done this, and this is part of this. I want to make sure we're not taking over into 2021. I've seen people cut out a whole family and put them up on their vision board. And you're like, well, Paris, maybe they're just saying that they want a family. I understand that. Okay, I get that part. But I've seen people cut out specific families, right? And the goal or whatever behind it is that they want to be able to operate like them. I've seen people choose certain people and say, hey, I'm going to give an example. Let's say somebody put Warren Buffett on here. I want to be like Warren Buffett. And I used to want to be like that man. I thought I did at one point. And so I I don't know if I would have done that in the past, but if I had to choose somebody, maybe that's what came to mind. But it's dangerous. It's completely dangerous because I think what happens is we're we have to be super careful about um, putting a life next to a ruler, right? I think that's something that we do way more often than we admit, right? And then we actually try to do a version of what they've done. And I've heard some people say, well, okay, well, you don't want to, but I love the idea of mentors. I love the idea of coaches. I think it's great. But I think we have to be super careful when we try to duplicate a thing, a person, or a process. Okay. You can say, hey, this is the process, but if you believe how I believe, which is everybody's called to do something in their own way, what I like to do is if the best I can see a successful person and say, wow, the way that they did this is admirable. And I love how they executed. Let me study the process. Let me study the beginning and the end and outcome and like how the statistics of how they did what they did. But my goal is not to replicate the process. My goal is to take nuggets and tweak it and put my own spin on it to see how I would do what I need to, but not do it how they did it. I know you guys are probably like, whoa, like Paris, why are you going there? I'm going there because there are social media presents a opportunity, and not just social media, because I know you got some of those people like, that's why I don't like social media. No. And this is just the avenue. I'm talking about anything. When you were in school, when you were at your jobs, when you were at your churches, there was always somebody to compare yourself to. Whether you did it on purpose or whether you did it by accident. There was always a standard, okay, that people would say, well, this, if I had to say this was what we wanted, this is it. And I believe that some of that stuff was societal and it was forced, but some of you guys do it and you don't even realize you do it. And what happens is if it's not this way, it's wrong. Or if you see something that you like, then you almost literally precept by precept, like you do it exactly the same way. And I need you to know how dangerous that is. Um, if person A does something a certain way in a certain season in a certain time, that is for them to do, and they have the grace to do it. You don't know what all happened mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, financially to set them up in a place. And people swear that they want something that they have no idea what the legs of it were, no idea what the full process. Me and someone was talking today, and I think sometimes what's missing from a lot of the world is transparency. People get on to different places, they get up and they don't necessarily tell the process or all the process. I'm not saying that people owe that to anybody. I'm just saying sometimes it's necessary because unfortunately you'll have people that idolize your space, idolize where you're at, your status, your location in life, and not realize what you went through. And then people will minimize it and say stuff like, you want my glory, but you don't know my story. And although I love that, I'd rather say, okay, but what's the story? Not as though I need to do what you did, not as though that you need to owe it to me. But I do believe that I try not to go spiritual, but I believe that there is a blessing in the word of your testimony. And if I could simplify it for people that's not religious, tell your story. You have no idea how many people can help. I used to be a very, very, very private person, and I did not want to share anything. I didn't feel like it was anybody's business, and I felt like I don't have to tell you if you know on a need to know basis. That was me, and I thought that was just fine, and it is fine if that's your choice. However, I had to think of the root of that thing, and really what it was I did not like judgment, and then I did not like people's opinion. And so I wouldn't share because I did not want anybody to judge me or be too opinionated. And I didn't want any type of controversy about what I did. So I kept it to myself. What I am learning now is that the things that I've went through, some people wonder or they think it's magic. How did that happen? How did you get that? Or they try to duplicate the end result without really knowing how it happened. And I think what I want to pull out of here, I know it's seeming like I'm pulling it, is that by you sharing or more people sharing what they went through, you'll realize that that was a unique journey on a unique path that only that person could have taken. And the reason they share it is so that you know that some of the ups and downs that they went through, not only did they survive it, but it actually helped make them who they are. And what you should be able to get from a story like that is that you too are going to go through some things that are unique to who you are, but those things for facts are going to make you who you are. And they're going to make you uniquely competent to do, to finish the journey that you're on, right? No two journeys are alike. So there's no point of you comparing yours to another's. The trap, that's actually what the whole topic was, the trap of comparison. The trap of comparison is very, it's something that I've seen people be in for years. I hate to say tens of years. Because what happens is sometimes you're compared by someone else, right? Sometimes we have a strong sense of competition between siblings. I think sometimes that's where it starts at for a lot of people. Even if it doesn't stay with their siblings, they get that idea from, that part of their life. Or peers, like, when you're in school, you want to race, you want to go play certain sports, who's the best. And I think that it's nothing wrong with a little competition. Where we go wrong is when you're competing in the wrong arenas. Success is not a static word. Success is objective. Success for me will not look like what success looks like for you. Success in one season will look like a difference. It will look different in a different season for me, right? And so because of that, you got to be super careful to want to compete with somebody when the journey called life it's not, the only way that somebody can compete is if they're on the same, like they're given the same start and they have the same finish and they literally have the same, like usually you have to be like, if like you have fighters, they have to be a certain weight class to fight. That's so it can stay fair. A start line, like, they really, the only time you see is a track field where they are slightly in front of each other, but that's because of the way the start and the ends, they can be, because of the circle and the circumference of it, so they can be equal, but it's still going to all be fair. They're going to all run 400 meters and it's going to be even. The way life works for us, none of that is going to be even. Even if you think, oh, me and her are the same age, we both come from a two-parent household, we both come from the same neighborhood, we both had one sibling and it was a boy, you know what I'm saying? We both got married and had one child. Your lives can be vastly different. You still cannot compare that. And people want to do it every single day. And I'm telling you, the trap of comparison will have you living in a world of anxiety. It will have you depressed. It will have you chasing after something that was never for you. Let me give you an example. At one point, the thing is that everybody should go to college. Remember that, y'all? Remember at one point, um, success was measured by going to college and making something of yourself, and that's how you were successful, and that was the only way you were successful. Now in 2021, not so much. And let's be honest. Let's go further back. If we can be honest, there were people in every generation that did not go to college and were very successful. They were the exception, we used to call it, but they definitely did not have to go to school in order to be deemed successful. But there was a time, and sometimes there still is a time, where people really do measure you by certain um, markers in life, right? Yeah, Tracy, it definitely was a thing. It is a thing. Let's go there. Let's go there. It is a thing. In 2020 and 2021, there are people that will still measure you if you went to school or not. And they will determine if they believe that you're successful enough or not. And that's their choice. But we're very clear that your schooling does not necessarily mean that you are ahead of somebody or behind somebody, or your lack of schooling means that you're behind somebody in any shape, form, or fashion. And there are people who don't feel like they have anything to offer because they did not go through conventional education. And I've seen the opposite. I've seen people who believe because they have 3 degrees that they actually are. I don't know. I want to be careful because this by no means is this me telling anybody that they are not worthy because of their education. Because let's say I'm going back to school, but y'all know me. I'm going back because I have to. I'm not necessarily going back because that's my desire. I will say this though. I 100% believe that there are people who don't walk in their full potential because of this comparison that they live under. I know people who've been in comparison their whole life. They live under the weight of comparison. They literally, I know people when they get up out the house and they put on clothes and they walk out the house and they see that if everybody else has something different, they would literally feel shamed and mad and upset because they don't fit in. And I understand why you say, well, I can understand that. What if they, just chose to misdress a certain day? I'm gonna give you a different thought process here. Just hear me out. Whatever it was that made you choose what you wore one day, and whatever made you decide that you were going to do that, is it not the same when you walk out and see other people? Now, I'm not talking about something like obvious, like, okay, if you thought it was going to be warmer and you came out in shorts and everybody else is dressed nice and it's cold outside, okay, I understand that. But if you had something on and you really enjoyed what you had on and you just thought you were looking good and you walked out and you saw some other people with this and you felt less than and you shrunk and you wanted to conform and you come back in the house and you change so you can look more like everybody else, then that's the problem. That is the problem. You're thinking, Paris, you're going too far. It's not a big deal. I promise you it is, because it starts with something small like that, but it moves on into your relationships. It moves on into how you pick a spouse. It moves on how you parent your kids. It moves on to how you pick your careers. It moves on to even how you even have a relationship with your creator, whether you believe in God or whatever it is, because you honestly are not even walking in your own lane. You're looking to see what the world is doing. You're looking to see what people are in your surroundings doing. I remember when I was parenting Makai, I would look and see what other people my age were doing. To see, people with similar backgrounds. Oh, how do they, deal with this, or how do they do that? And while that's understandable to a certain level, I realized a long time ago that my child was unique. that I was unique and that the way that I parented him had to be unique. And the minute I recognized that, I left the guilt of doing it the same way everybody else does. And then when I got bold enough to believe that I was right, I honestly didn't allow anybody else to guilt me into thinking differently. I knew what was good for my kid. I knew what they needed. And I don't care if 100 people do it that way. That didn't work for my child. And I had to be bold enough to understand that and to press through with what I thought was good. Don't get me wrong, it's good to get some advice if you don't know what to do and do some research. But I think what I've learned about people, they're scared to gather research. Um, you're not supposed to look at everybody else and do what they do automatically just because that's what you think. What's smart and what's wise is that you say, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. Let me read some books. Let me do some surveying of people around me to see what everybody else is doing. And then let me look at my child. And then let me just kind of do some trial and error stuff and figure out what works best for my house. That's called data collection. And then that's called in projects, that's kind of your thesis testing, right? You say, okay, well, let me go ahead and try these things out and then record the results and then decide if this was best for me. Did this work better? Or then even decide to make what am I going to say? Like come up with a solution based on some successes and some failures you've had. Now, I know you're thinking, parents, you are doing the entire most, but hear me out. That is critical thinking 101. There are not enough critical thinking tools that we use in our everyday life, which is why we come up with results we don't want because we have such shallow, emotional based thinking. We need to be much more logical with it. If you look around, you can get an idea, but it still should be your own. It should still be your own, and it has to have some twist of identity for your own thing on there. You will get caught. So that was an example of my parenting. Let's talk about other parts of comparison. How many people have looked at somebody and said, like for a relationship and be like, oh, their relationship is perfect. Oh, they look like they just a perfect couple. I want a husband like him. Or I want a wife like her. And what you unconsciously do, here we go. You unconsciously adapt a fictional person in your head that is shaped like a person or persons that you have seen, and you probably make them to be this imaginary person of how you think they are, right? And I know you think, well, no, if I encounter so and so, they're kind or this or that, and those are the things I like. But what it is you see the good things that you like. You don't necessarily see the bad things you don't like. And you don't necessarily know if the bad things outweigh the good things. And you don't even know if it's some things that might not be more bad that outweigh the good, but some things that you probably wouldn't be able to put up with, or some things that are deal breakers that you don't know about. So now you built this fictional person in your head that you want to look for your spouse, a future spouse that's like, and you almost have a complete fraud in your head. And now, when you start dating somebody, they are competing against that person in your head that they have no idea about. They don't know that you don't measure up. They don't measure up because you're comparing them to this person that doesn't even really exist. Y'all didn't think I was going there with comparison, did you? You were comparing them to a person that doesn't even exist. Sometimes I've seen people talk about this perfect person that they want, and literally meeting really good people, but crossing them out and rejecting them because they don't measure up to this idea of a person that they assume exists in their mind. And it's because of comparison. It's because of comparison. And That's such a trap. It's such a trap because there's so many different layers to um, what you can't see. There's so many different layers. We talked about the emotional. Y'all know I'm gonna put emotional, mental, spiritual, financial. Um, there's so many different facets to people, um, and you are going to really miss a blessing being stuck under comparison. So I talked about, okay, romantic relationships. I talked about parenting. Let's talk about friendships. Y'all know how I go. I'm gonna go into everything. With friendships, one of the hardest things I see is when people compare. Whew, people compare people in friendships to each other, or they compare people to other friendships they've had, or either friendships that they see. Um, and it's very hard because the reality is, um, let me give an example. If I have three siblings, okay? We all grew up in the same house, all under the same mother and father, right? But if you do a survey, all of us have a different point of view. All of us have a different experience, and all of us are going to have a different outcome in life. And I think if you guys think about that, that's true, right? Okay. I didn't understand that for a long time. It took me a long time to understand that one. I got to break that down much more later, but we literally have different lenses. Every single one of us have a different lens that we see life out of based on our experiences, personal. And even though we're in the same house, we all have a different way to see things. Well, if that's true, then imagine not being under the same household with the same parents, with the same circumstances. We all are different people. There's no way in the world you could expect one friend to behave the same exact way another friend does. I'm going to get closer. There's no way you can expect one friend to behave the exact same way another friend does, um, because they're different people. Um, and you should not expect it. Now, somebody can say, well, I have certain things that I believe friends should do. I have certain expectations I want from my friends. It's certain things I want out of that relationship. It's certain things I give and it's certain things I expect. I'm not saying that's wrong. You should have things that you desire. I think you should have things that are non-negotiables. You should have things that you say, hey, that's not going to work for me. That's fine. But what I will say is, I can have four different friends, and we have four different unique relationships, and one not be better than the other. Um, I can have a friend that, we relate because of our kids, right? Me and them, we parent, our kids hang out together, we do something. And so we kind of link because of the kids, and we spend time together when the kids are playing and it works out, or we can talk about some of our struggles with the kids. That might be a good link for us. And that's like one of our connections. And we might not be able to get together as much as we want to, but when we do get together, it's great, right? Okay. That's that connection. And it works for me and her, right? I can have another person where, I'm just giving examples here. Maybe I bowl and they bowl. And so when I go to the bowling alley, I see them. And maybe before I go to the bowling, I'll call them, hey girl, you going to the bowling alley? Yeah, okay, let's meet up, let's hang out. And that's my buddy. And that's like my hobby. And we do stuff together and we enjoy each other's time in that arena. Then that might be a event type of person. I see them when I'm in that arena and it works well. Okay. Now it might leak over into other parts of our lives, but that's our main way that we met each other, right? Okay. I've seen it where people are married and then they get with other married couples. And so now the way that they hang out is with their couples. And so we go do couples events together. We go on couple trips. We do date nights, and everything that we do is based around the couple and about the two of us and their couple, and it works out well for us. Okay. And then but we don't get together. Maybe that me and that lady don't get together when we're not with the husbands. So that's our thing. Y'all see where I'm going here? Do you see where I'm going here? I could have somebody that I talk to once every 6 months, and we talk for 5 hours on the phone or in person, and we laugh and we cry and we share things, and oh my God, we hug things out, and I get revelations and we pray over each other. It could be amazing. But I really don't hear from her most of the year. And she doesn't hear from me because of our schedules or whatever the situation could be. That could be our relationship. And that's fine. What does it look like, me comparing all of those different people and those different relationships to each other? What would it look like, me expecting this person to be similar to this person over here, and expecting the same exact things from that other person? It wouldn't be fair. That's my point. That's what I'm getting to. It's not fair, and it's not rational. We don't think about it. Let me tell you the reason we don't think clearly, because we don't think clearly when emotions lead, right? We don't think clearly when emotions lead. When our emotions lead, we are already offended, and we're all like, oh, you don't do this for me. Oh, you don't treat me like this. Oh, I don't get this from you. I don't get that from you. Rather than be in the time or the space of, you know what? I want more out of this relationship, and this is what I'm going to do to get that. I'm going to put in more, and then this is what I would like you to do, and let's make a plan. That'd be the most logical thing. Or reassessing if this is the relationship that works for you. What you should never do is bring up another relationship and compare that relationship to you and that person's relationship. You will lose out on so much by doing that, because it's not a fair fate. It's not a fair thing. You're going to relate to people differently, and that's okay. You ever heard a parent say that I love my kids all the same? Well, I love them all, but I have to deal with them differently. I have to parent them differently. And I used to think it was so unfair at first, right? Because I came from, there's 4 of us. I'm like, well, that's not fair that you parent us differently. I don't understand that. But now, as I have a child, I give so much more grace, and I give so much more appreciation to my family, because I only have 1 child and they had to do it to 4. And I just don't know. What do you do when you have 4 different personalities, 4 different skill sets, 4 different motivations, 4 different sensitivities, and you have to try to do that, what each and every one of them see what the other person's doing, and still have to realize that it has to be shaped to their individuality, and to balance that thing is a whole tightrope act. So kudos to my parents, and kudos to parents everywhere that have more than 1 kid, because you have to manage that type of stuff. And we don't all get it right. Let's be honest, right? And it's okay. Heck, I got 1 child. I'm sure I didn't get it right. Right? So what you do is you decide that I'm no longer going to, I'm not going to compare these situations. And even if you don't do that within your own friend circle, like, don't do it to like past friendships. Well, me and so-and-so used to do this all the time, and me and you don't do this. No. Even if you feel that way, even if you feel like I want something from, I used to have this with so-and-so, and I want this, the only thing what you could probably do is say, you know what? I want more time with you. And how can we facilitate that? What can I do to help this? And is there anything that you think you can do? Or is this something that you also desire? These are grown up. Listen, y'all, we are in 2021. It's time for the hard conversations, okay? It's time for us to say the things that we really want. Enough of these silent expectations. If you want something, speak up on it. You need to be grown up enough to have the grown up conversations and not just sit down. It's too many people that's ghosting. It's too many people that's not talking to people. It's too many people that's having silent resentments. It's too many people that are literally mad at somebody because they're not living up to these false expectations that they don't even know that they have to live up to. It's about conversations. It's about being upfront. It's about being direct. You and I hear what some people say, well, I don't want to be confrontational and I don't want to be like mean and I don't want to be rude. It's not about being rude or mean. It's about being direct. I know people say it's not what you say, it's how you say it. That's true. But let me tell you something. You still have to say it. Baby girl, you still have to say it. You don't get to not say it because you're not comfortable with the conversation. The conversation still has to be had. So if you're not fulfilled in one of your relationships, it's your responsibility to speak up on it. Bring resolution. Ask questions. Speak your concerns. But never, ever, 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 ever start that conversation comparing it to some other relationship you had, some other friend you had, some other spouse you had, how so and so. When my son comes and tell me, my friend mom never do this, I said, go live with baby, go live with them. Don't you ever bring that to my household because it has nothing to do with me. Sorry, it doesn't. That's their household. This is mine. Or vice versa. I wish any relationship I ever had with a man, don't you dare come telling me about what your ex did that you want, because that's going to go left. I guarantee you. That's going to go left with me. It's going to go left because I don't care if she was Mother Teresa. You're not with her. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring it to me. I'm sorry I had to get a little ghetto right there for you because I just don't do it. I wouldn't suggest it. It's not what I would do if I were you. It's not fair, not only to me, it's not fair to you because what's going to happen as a result of that, it's not going to be cute. I don't want to keep it cute. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt. Keep it cute in 2021. Keep it cute. No, we don't want to do that. So let's not do that. So I just hope that I brought some clarity to this conversation. I think we do this way too often, and I think it's not fair, and I think it's very limiting. You put people in a box, okay? You put people in a box. You put relationships in a box. You put your career in a box. You put your children in a box. You put everything in a box of this expectation you have to some other person or life or whatever you saw, and you are trying to make it be exactly that way. And the reality is there is no template. That's what I want you to walk away from this conversation with. There's no template to your life. Yeah, it's not. I'm sorry. What does that mean? There's nobody else's footsteps you can walk into. I don't care if we both wear a size 10. Did you know our feet are still very different? If we both wear a size 10, our feet are still different. Fingerprints, I love those things. I'm going to say something about a fingerprint. I don't know if I'm going to do a book later or not, but I love the idea of fingerprints. I have 10 fingers, and all 10 of my fingerprints are different. And there's no person on earth that has the same fingerprint that I have. Isn't that amazing? God is great. DNA, just even thinking about the body, so amazing. We're all different. We're all vastly, crazily different. My fingers are not the same. Huh? I got one. I'm Paris, and this finger is not the same as this one, and they don't be the same. That's amazing. But you know why I'm bringing that up? Because you are unique. You're one of a kind. The mold was broken when you were made. I know that you don't get excited about it, but I do. You need to get excited about it. There will never be another you. There will never be another person like you walking this earth. And that's the best thing in the world. You bring something unique to every relationship. You bring something unique to the world. The world needs you. There's something in your brain. There's something that's a composite of your experiences that are needed in the earth. There's something that you have. There's a way that you do things. There's a way that your brain is wired. There's a zest for life that only you hold. And if you hold it and you're trying to mold yourself to what somebody else is doing, you are literally numbing the uniqueness of you. It's the same thing if I took a file and tried to file my fingerprint down. I'm messing it up. I'm messing up the uniqueness of it, the very thing that makes it what it is. So, y'all, we have to pull out a comparison. Comparison literally will trap you out of your destiny. It will trap you from having a life that's full. It will trap you from being having a life full of joy, having that inner peace I talk about all the time. And I bet you if you just think about some of the things that you are comparing and how you're trying to look at other people's whatever it is and realize that there's no template for what you're trying to do, and for you to do it anyway, for you to realize that however you do it is going to be fine, then you're going to live a life that's more fulfilled. You're going to start to realize that sometimes you're trying to put your car in that lane and you wonder why life's so hard. It's because you keep on trying to pull it over there and you don't realize just stay in your lane. Just do it how you're doing it, how you're supposed to do it. Figure out what that looks like. Put time into it. Put energy into it. Research, data collection. Figure out what's being done, what you're trying to do, and then figure out how you're supposed to do it. Maybe, I want to do things slightly different, and that's good, and that's okay. And you have to be okay with it. I submit that a lot of people are not happy simply because they think that they are not on the mark, because they're comparing it even to this fictional person in their head that you think that you have to be like. Sometimes it might not be one person. Sometimes it's several people that you literally like, oh, well, I want to be as good as this person, being able to do that and doing this and this. Listen, I tell people all the time, deaf to Supermans, deaf to Superwoman. We are not. I'm an amazing person. I'm not Superwoman, though. Take off the cape. I don't want it. I used to ascribe to it. Baby, I don't have it. I make mistakes. I get it wrong sometimes. I don't always have the answers. I cry sometimes. I get frustrated at times. I don't want to be Superwoman. It's too exhausting. I'm not going to. That used to be the person in my head. I wanted to do it all. I'm every woman. It's all in me. No, I am not every woman. I am Paris Johnson. I'm phenomenal. I'm phenomenal in my own right. And I don't have to be like another person. I don't feel like I've fallen short. I'm not in my mother's footsteps, even though she's a great woman. I'm not in her footsteps. I'm not in Michelle Obama's footsteps. She's an amazing woman. I'm not in anybody's footsteps. Not in Oprah, not anybody. I'm Paris. What I do and how I do it will look nothing like anybody else has done it. And it took me a long time to realize that. But once I got into my lane, baby, the car can go full force because I'm in my lane and nobody else can be in my lane. My lane is for me. I carved my lane out. It was no template. I had to figure it out as I went on. I had to be courageous enough to figure it out. Be courageous enough to figure out your lane. Be even more courageous enough to not try to make your lane look like anybody else's lane. I promise you, it will free you. It will free you to just be you. I know this is a long talk, but I see too much of it, and I believe that if we drop, I want to call it silent comparison, because nobody says, I want to be just like her in front of people, because now they know it sounds like crazy. But then that don't mean that you don't really think that. That don't mean that you don't really do it. That doesn't mean that that's not how you run your household, or that doesn't mean how you maintain relationships. So the walk away with this is to reevaluate. Remember I tell y'all about being self-aware? Like we're trying to be the best versions of ourselves. And so let's sit back and look at what things do I still sit in comparison with, or what things am I silently comparing? Am I parenting the way that I think other people parent? Am I dating the way everybody says I should date, or what I think I should have is am I comparing my spouse to some fictional person that doesn't exist? Are my friends on this tightrope with me because I have these expectations about what I want them to do? Like, really sit down and look at that. Um, we could all be happier if we uh, not only walk in our own lane, but allow people to walk in their own lanes. Give people the grace to be themselves. You'll have better relationships, I promise you, when you don't try to force people to live how you want them to. Give them the grace to be the fullness of who they are around you. That's the best gift you can give to any of your friends, to allow them to be them and to be the full version of them, and be able to say, you know what, I love you how you are. I mean, it's not to say that you don't see anything that you can help them with, but literally, but if it's just the personality, like letting them be who they are and operating with them the way they are, that's like amazing. It's amazing. Give the gift of allowing people to be who they are. How about that? Thank you, Janolia. I just want us to live full lives, okay? I really do. So I love you all. As normal, you already know what I'm going to say. You are enough. You're enough. You're enough. I promise you, I'm going to say it every single time because I want you to really believe it. You're enough as you are, without any comparisons, without any, without any side by side measuring, without any prompting from memories of another situation. You are enough. You're enough for me to love you. You're enough for God to love you. And you're enough for anybody in your life to appreciate, but be the fullness of who you are. No apologies. Okay? So, announcements. Oh, sorry. I said my you are enoughs. Oh, I still have some shirts left. If you want to get one, check out my website, www.parispjohnson.com. Look at the scrolling, it's at the bottom. Let's see. Did I want to say anything else? Oh, I'll see you Thursday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. I have a surprise. Tomorrow, I'm going to be a guest on a show. I'm going to share it on my live on my Paris Johnson page. So it should be live on there. You're going to, if you want to come on, you can look at it and see these collaborations I'm trying to do is going to be pretty amazing. I have some exciting news coming up that to be on the lookout for. But you all have an amazing evening. And until next time. And if you are catching the end of it, please go back and watch the replay. And if you're watching the replay, could you please type replay so I can know that you're watching? It's so funny. People walk up to me all the time and say, hey, I saw your live, or I see your live. And I'm thinking, I never knew you see it because you never say anything. You don't like it. I don't necessarily, and I'm not mad about that. It's just, I want to know about engagement. So if you guys can engage and just even like say hi or replay or let me know that you're there, it helps me to know who's actually looking at these. But I'm always just grateful if you can get something from it, whether or not I know. But if you are watching it, please type replay so I can know. And please share it, because I used to feel bad about asking people to share, but I realized that I'm trying to help whoever can use it. And you never know. I've learned now, Clubhouse, I'm on Clubhouse a lot now, and I love it. And the one thing about Clubhouse is you get into rooms with people that you normally can't get in rooms with, and hear conversations that are life-changing, and hear conversations that can help move the trajectory of your life. Well, I'm not saying that I'm some amazing person, but what I will say is I do believe these conversations can change people's lives. And so if something I'm saying can help you be a better person, just like some of these conversations I've seen with other people helping me to be a better person, why would I tell people not to share that? So share with anybody who you think can use it. Share on your page or tag people in it so they can go back and look at it. I appreciate you guys rocking with me. And like I said, I'll see you on Thursday at 6 p.m. Ciao.